basically dressed in their armor, probably smelling of horse. As they're here, there's two people in particular that stand out, basically among the others. All of these has sort of orange, green, basically surcoats with a green field with orange, what seems to be an orange rose on it.
Orange rose.
There is a hailing Caladan in his sort of quiet, contemplative looking self. And next to him is someone you have seen before, probably.
Yuck.
Which would be Gorman the Young.
That's a face you want to punch.
Yeah, he is. He's currently laughing at something, presumably that Halen has said, and yeah, he seems to generally handle himself very. He seems to be a man who's never worried, and as you look at his interaction with his men, he seems to be speaking to sort of all of them and very much be the center of attention as he speaks. Pats them on the shoulders, looks around, comments on something. And very much a polar opposite, almost, of Halen's behavior. He was very standing here, looking in his armor. His finely made armor, with his shield, and sort of just looking at the hall and looking around, presumably for you, as his eyes fall on Lena's. Young P look, and his eyes fall to Alaric as he grins widely.
You said a rose.
Yeah, what house is this from? Can we make a roll?
Oh, sure, you can make a roll.
What do you want? What kind of roll do you want?
Status cool?
Status, probably be cool, yeah.
Sure.
Status of knowledge. You don't know of a house that has this this symbol, basically.
I put it in the wrong thing. There we go.
You gave yourself 2 penalty dice.
I gave myself 2 penalty dice. I don't know. I wasn't reading.
You don't know of a house that has this heraldry. It looks a lot like the Tyrell rose, but that one is gold, most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gorman the Young also has this surcoat.
It could be his. Do we know? Does Alaric know if Young Peak is a knight?
He is perhaps a sir, but it is not. He most likely have not had a vigil such as Alaric and Halen perhaps has with the 7 oils of the 7 and the vows and standing up all night and such. Many lords and such just sort of are knights because it's a thing they're sort of supposed to be. They don't take it super seriously, and generally you would. Basically, Manfa, for example, might not have a septon knight him. It might be expected that upon his completion of his trial training, you would knight him, and then that would be that. While a true knight, some would say, needs to be knighted by a septon, in a sept, having his vigil and his trials, and show how pious he can be.
So, question. Halen, can you tell he's a Caladan? Does he look like...
He has his Caladan shield, yeah.
Yeah, but his face.
Well,
I mean, yeah, there's some resemblance.
Yeah. I mean, and he matches the qualities we remember. You know, we haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
I have never seen him.
He's taken more after his mother than.
Oh, he looks like the creepy Tali.
Not quite.
Hey, she was pretty, all right. Not creepy.
He's not bad looking, but he doesn't have Linus's like exotic hair color. Though his eyes are sort of a pale ice blue, which is a little sort of uncommon. It is perhaps a mix of some Valerian and some Andal color. His hair does not bear the Valerian coloration.
Oh, Lara will definitely start moving forward.
So as will Lanus, who, for probably the first time here, has actually decided to dress, you know, maybe a bit more closer to how I would expect, having his own surco on and actual sigils shown.
Oh,
well, if we're all gonna dress up, why? I'll do it as well.
The knights,
shield, he don't give a fuck.
The Knights of the Rose are wielding finely made long swords, have large sort of shields at their back and are wearing plate mails.
They look well disciplined.
They look rather well disciplined, though right now they seem to be sort of at ease, especially around. Not a lot of them sort of quirk with Halen. A lot of them just sort of talk to Gorman. It seems to be pretty casual, not a lot of commanding or such. Seems almost to be a group of friends more so than a commander in his
So
unit.
it's quite the kind of positive relationship, it feels like.
Yeah.
Not just a business
Although
relationship.
Halen doesn't participate too much, saying sort of something that's just sort of below his breath sometimes that Gorman hears, and then sometimes maybe repeats to the others. As he basically steps in front of Halen to walk up to Alaric, looking up at him, reaching out his hand, sort of gloved with a leather glove, as he looks up and says, "It's a pleasure. I have heard many stories of you. My God, you're even bigger than they say." His hand.
Alaric kind of glares down and grips the man's arm in a vice-like grip.
Sure, he'll shake your hands as Gorman Peak, the younger, at your service, sir. I don't think you need an introduction. Alaric Caladan, I presume.
Alaric nods.
They always know who you are, don't they? Looks up to you as Harry.
It's good to meet you. As I heard you did rather well in the melee recently. I sadly only caught the end of everything.
I
Would have liked to have been there a little earlier, but, well, you know how things are between our houses. So he shakes his head, suggesting that he thinks it's a great shame that he couldn't be there.
Alaric nods.
Is he holding any contempt? Is he holding any contempt when he talks about our houses?
You can roll empathy.
Sure. This is certainly something Lanus would be interested in.
I'll be right back. 1 sec.
Yeah.
You don't sense any discontent. He seems to be rather jolly at the moment, perhaps a little excited to meet you.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is
Having
excited.
introduced himself to Alaric, he will look over to Lanus. He sort of, as presuming that Alaric releases his arm,
Yeah. Alaric
No,
does.
we must stay here
just
forever.
put his hands out to the side and say, "Look at you." She looks back to Halen. Looks back to Lanus. Quite the difference. You are the younger Caladan, yes?
Yes, I would be. Lanus Caladan, he said, stepping forward, gesturing out a cautious hand.
Sure. He will move and sort of grab it and shake it. Maybe a little too much for Lanus's liking.
He's
So
used to Alaric, it's not that
Pleasure
bad.
to meet you. Don't believe you're a sir yet, are you?
No.
To Alaric. Well, if you're interested, I myself don't have a squire as it is.
Alaric heavily frowns at
That's your
this.
grin.
Like he
Lanus
looks
does not,
very
Lanus does
angry
not
at
give
this.
Lanus does not give a response except a polite smile.
He looks over Lanus's shoulder and winks at Manfer. Young Karen, I see. Well, is that all of you?
Alaric nods
to
and
Halen. There's where's your uncle? I think it is. Looks over to Halen. He steps back a little bit.
Oh,
Looks around.
he had important business he said he needed to attend to.
Isn't it always with the older ones? That's so many important things to deal with.
Yes, he left in such a hurry.
Yes. I know that sort of procedure. It's just, are you ready to travel? I think we should make some haste. I'll be missed up there north if we don't make it soon enough.
If I may, I thought maybe a nice polite talk beforehand would be quite nice. Share a drink, maybe.
Just, all right, I thought we could speak on horseback, but if you prefer to sit down on something that doesn't move, I'd be okay with that.
It gives a smile, and presumably there's somewhere nearby we can go.
I'm sure I can be a room. Can be made for you. This is just you and me. Just like this.
Well, we can all enjoy a drink together. Gesturing a hand in the circle.
Sure. He sort of looks at the guards around and says, a drink for the riders and for the guests. We've ridden long and might do so again. So, people will sort of begin dwindling to different places in the entry hall. Servants will bring out some stools and chairs and such. We'll sit down. Handed some wine. Look at it.
I think Manfred can sit down at the table.
Yeah.
He can certainly sit on the table.
Manfred, I think you're good. It's
Technically, he outranks us.
Yeah, he outranks us.
I think I'm the only one who has to stand behind, so, just go. Just pushes Manfred over to the chair.
Sure, sits down. Helen and Gorman sit down. Okay, so, what's on your mind? He looks at them and says, they might have reservations regarding the trip.
That would be a correct statement. As you said yourself, our house have had a long history.
Shrugs. Yes. All the realm has long histories.
That is true enough. They're taking the drink, taking a sip.
Says, Halen would be able to tell you all about them, I think. Yeah, it's flesh and grin. Never had too much time for that sort of thing.
For what it seems, you have been dealing more with the, various situations around. Gestures to a group of the guards in the distance.
Shrugs. Says, yes, I was brought up north. Grandfather thinks that I need some more field experience, so to speak. Real lot happening up there, so, I thought I could disappear for a while without anyone noticing. Or if he does, he just shrugs. Be angry for a while. Well, so be it.
Give a small smile to that.
Helen smiles as well, finding perhaps some wit in the speak of Gorman. Looks like, oh yes, oh, I should remember. I heard that you've lost your horse. Yes. The big beast.
Looks up to Sir Alaric.
Alaric nods and says, not particularly lost, but yes.
On the way here, I met a merchant. I purchased a fine example of a similar stock, I believe. If you're interested in having him off me. I thought about riding him myself, but says I'll have to bring 4 of my people with me if I have to take up that space. A few other horses there as well.
Alaric gives a very long stare at the young peak.
Yeah, smiles back. Says, I can't vouch for it being the same one, but how many? Says, sort of shakes his head and says, "How many of that kind would there be in one little world?"
Alaric nods. I guess we shall find out when we leave then.
Nods. Yeah. Perhaps you can take it as a sign of good faith.
He raises an eyebrow and says, perhaps.
Yeah, not to something is, and to Menfa. It says, if yours are among them, then you can go ahead and claim those as well. I couldn't say. Men said the horse was for breeding, but never was much of a horse breeder myself. Simply saw it and thought that it's a coincidence too big to be ignored.
As Lord Asher Tyro would say, it's a bear of a horse.
Yeah, good man, I hear. Never had the pleasure. Too much to see to at home. 3 keeps. Only 2 people who really care. Shrugs. Takes a lot of doing to get anything done. A lot of riding around those 3 places. Should build a road. A true one. He shakes his head. Looks to Halen. Wouldn't that be something? None just shrugs. I believe we should go rather quickly. There is no trouble I know of on the road, and we can find places to sleep along it.
Alaric looks at the young Peak and says, once we get to Respite, what are your plans with your men? As it stands,
Fine entry.
As it stands, our castle cannot hold your men.
It's a visit for a time.
We are already at capacity.
Disconnect.
Server disconnected.
Yeah. Just someone sent a message or something that made it crash. I'll start it again. And it says, we can pay for ourselves. All we need is a place to set up the tents. That shouldn't be much of a problem.
Alaric shakes his head and says, no, we have fields.
Shrugs. Tourney fields, I hear.
Nods.
Though currently no tourney.
But perfect for a small army to set up camp.
After a while, I'm gonna take him with me up north. Some of them, some. It looks as a big gift for Halen.
Does he mean that genuinely? Is me looking at it?
Server's back up over there.
Yeah.
He sort of smiles to Halen, who frowns slightly. Says, it is not something that is absolutely necessary, but it is a boon, I believe, to show that we are no longer enemies. As we shall also make a stop. He looks and says, the peoples of my family's lands, I hear, have been too long without proper spiritual guidance. Gorman looks at Halen, and he seems to frown at these words. Sort of just not seem to be super into it.
Does he seem displeased with what Halen's saying, or just the, is he displeased with the words, or just the whole religious zealous?
It seems to be the religion talk. Maybe he's heard it a bit too much before to really be super into it.
Okay.
So, Big Joran says, yes, it's terrible. Terrible fate. Regardless, it we shall stop and acquire roses for the populace. We shall ride into the land carrying them, and we shall give them to those we meet on our way, those who come out to see us.
Raises the quirked eyebrow, trying to genuinely see if he's, well, genuine about this. This is not what he expected.
Sure.
Certainly. And he's certainly was not expecting a Rose's introduction. Not from horseback.
Well, who are you trying to gouge about this?
Essentially trying to gauge, are they being Gorman the Young being
Cool.
genuine about this?
You can roll.
Sure.
He does not seem to be the deceitful type. He seems rather charismatic, actually. You were pretty sure you could tell if he was gonna lie relatively easily. Perhaps he's not, super honest. He's probably just not a good liar. Maybe not used to lying. Maybe not used to having to.
I can understand that. Lanus himself is not very good at lying either, so doesn't.
He seems to have a rather loose tongue in such a way, not think too much before he talks.
Okay.
Just very unlike Halen, who doesn't say a whole lot without thinking about it first. So,
Okay.
it'll be great. Some more rose work. It looks to his people.
Yes, I noticed the roses.
Ask me about my roses. He smiles. Yes, the finest knights you will find in all of the. Looks to Alaric. Well, the finest collection of knights you will find in all of the marshes. Says the roses of the east. Founded them myself. All friends and compatriots from one place or another.
Lanus heard this term before said?
He can roll that'd be knowledge streetwise, I think.
I can roll a knowledge check.
Can roll.
No,
Oh.
Can I use my lucky to reroll that?
Yes, you could be lucky and have heard something.
What the fuck?
Never heard that
It
in your
seems
life.
almost like destiny.
That is Thor pokes his head in.
No.
A 4 and then a 1.
That is
1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1.
that's
Yes.
amazing. That's
Well,
That is
I
the
just burned all my
antithesis of
1s,
a-
everyone.
That is the antithesis of Bree rolls.
I mean, admittedly, I did just roll 666.
yeah. There you go.
That's right. Enable Bree mode!
Bree moving cage.
So, you have no idea. No idea ever. Alaric, as a knight, would know that sometimes young knights found knightly companies where they travel around and do chivalric stuff. He probably was part of one with Ashra, though they probably didn't have a fancy name other than the companions of Ashra Tyrell, because he's a Tyrell and important enough to have that.
Yeah.
But they generally would make themselves a surcoat and be like a knightly company, basically, of however many doing something. It seems maybe that's the sort of thing goes on. Although Lanus certainly hasn't heard anything about any of this. Probably doesn't even know about the companies.
How pretentious that they're using a rose. Like a Tyrell rose, but
It
not quite the same
feels
colour.
very pretentious.
It's very pretentious. To me, at least.
Ride around the Reach. Been mostly in the marshes. Doing some bandit hunting in the mountains. Smiles at Halen. For a liege and the 7. He grins. Halen seems ever so slightly embarrassed at these words. Perhaps. Yeah.
Alaric looks at young Peak and says, "Have you actually seen the Longthorn?"
The answer is, I have. Great man, great knight.
Alaric nods.
Quite the inspiration, I believe, for the both of us.
I'm enjoying the backseat commentary.
Alaric kind of looks at him and says, "It's a real pleasure to be in the company of such a great knight."
I'd say, yes, would be. Haven't had too many visits from him. Highgarden is, well, right next to Dustinbury, really, so.
He spends most of his time in the Westerlands now.
None says, yes, it's strange. Slightly.
Not very. The Lions like their tournaments, and the
Certainly have the
Longthorn
wealth
does
for it, I
likewise.
hear.
He nods and says, "Isn't Castle Rock built on top of a gold mine?" Or so the tales say.
Said the mountains there are all gold mines. Golden Tooth, for example, just money sticking out of the ground. Says here it's all peas. How was your harvest?
Decent. It was pretty decent actually.
Good.
We got some good sales as well.
Oh no. Looks at Linus and says, thank you for taking care of that. I presume it was your doing, brother.
For the most part, yes, it was. Though I have got the occasional bit of help.
Sure. Slight smile. So, common sort of. Stalin seems to maybe have wanted to say something more, but Common sort of talks on. Yeah, she looks at Alec and says, perhaps, sir, you would do me the honor of riding with me in the front of our company. Should have the honor to hear some of your tales. I assume you have quite a few from your own sort of traveling days.
Alaric smirks.
Heard you stood well in the melee at Highgarden.
Won it, in fact.
Quite the feat. Quite the feat.
I won it just before your grandfather invaded Respite. Gives a smirk. Says, had to come back for the war.
Good thing you managed to finish up things there. Old man has a temper.
Alaric nods. Says, tempers don't make great commanders, though. Good fighters, not great commanders.
That's what I shouldn't be able to say. Not commanded many men in my time, either. Except for these ones. Looks around. Elon sort of frowns slightly at this topic. He says, strange that fate has it that it might have been fortunate for our house that the old Peak chose to demand what he did.
Alaric raises an
Otherwise-
eyebrow and says, how do you see that?
Otherwise, we might still be at odds with the Peaks.
Well, I am unsure exactly how looks over to Roman the Young.
He gives you a grin.
Your grandfather may feel.
Shrugs his. That's the issue, isn't it? I'd hoped your uncle would be here. I'd like to speak to him about that. But,
Raises a curious eyebrow. Just considering.
Lucian says, don't think you're the only ones who have plans for the future. I don't plan to be a knight forever. He looks around. I'll be a lord someday. And, well, perhaps it could be done without my family having to perish first. We seem to be rather long-lived, as it turns out.
Your family certainly has endured well. Though having free castles does certainly help.
Yes, it certainly does.
Alaric smiles and says, "Oh, but the tales of the time we sapped one of your castles to destruction. That was I love that tale."
Frog still has some marks on the walls from it, yeah. She looks at you. Maybe a little sort of taken aback that you would sort of bring that sort of thing up as the mood dampens a little bit.
Yeah, from our conversation here and kind of some of the things mentioned, could I try and judge his opinion of what he thinks of his grandfather?
Sure.
Because-
You rolled before. It seems like he's slightly reserved, but I mean it's not negative. He's still family, but it's not the admiration that some might have for their older family members.
Okay, so
Perhaps a bit of youth rebellion. Who knows?
bit in the middle ground then right now.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I enjoy it. I will look forward to our ride. It's quite a journey. Perhaps we can spar. Gives a friendly smile for once.
I'm afraid I would insult you if we did. I wouldn't take the chance. That hand of yours crushed my skull in a single swipe.
This was always your problem. No one ever wanted to accept your challenges, did they? Looks up.
Alaric nods and says, especially after the melee wins, people tend to just not want to fight anymore.
Even mumbles. Does never want to fight with me.
Perhaps some of my men will take you up on it, though. There's a good 30 of them. Should be someone among there who's foolish enough to try. Just promise me they can still walk afterwards. So looks, we'll need them to not look too battered when we reach respite.
Alaric smirks. As, I tend not to carry practice swords, and this great thing kind of taps the hilt of his sword, as doesn't particularly enjoy being stopped mid-swing.
Yeah, I'll nod. Say, well, there's for that then. Well, perhaps I'll give the two siblings a bit of time to themselves as well. A lot of catching up to do, I imagine.